Yeah, students, is the screen visible for you all?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you can see some drawing, right? Okay. So let me start the this one compass survey. So basically, the last class,
Hello.
all of you mute your right, microphones. So in the last class,
It
what
is
we did
not
basically, yeah,
Sir, it is not visible.
acha. Okay, let me check once.
It is visible, sir.
I think it depends on network, I guess. So few are able to see it. Okay. So, anyways, I hope a few of you can see them, but I don't know why it's not visible here. I mean, why it's not able to visible for you. Yeah, hello. I'm audible now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let me actually the laptop has become too slow. There is some issue with the laptop. Let me once again share the screen. I hope now it is visible for all the screen. Can you see a drawing, all of you?
No, yes.
Yes, sir.
Now visible drawing.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So in the chain survey, basically what we did in the chain
Sir,
survey.
still it is not visible.
Okay, it will load. Okay, it will load. Okay, just wait for some time. It will load. Okay. So in the chain survey, what we did basically we tried to measure the we took the offset from the chain line and we determined the distance. Okay, between the stations. But whenever the land is too big, okay, then doing a chain survey may not be feasible. There we use another set of instrument called as compass. So now the compass you might have seen in the video. The compass is basically a magnetic compass, right? It will point towards the magnetic north. So now that compass will be placed on a tripod. So this tripod will be placed on a station. Now when you place a tripod on the station, first it should be leveled and centered. So leveled means it should be parallel to the ground, right? One thing. And centering means like the center of the tripod should coincide with the point of the station. So station, let's say you mark with an arrow or a peg. So now when you drop a plumb bob or a stone from center of the tripod, it should fall exactly on the peg or the arrow. So that is called centering. So this way, first we will do this exercise. You might have seen in the video also, same we have shown. So once we do this, then what we will do, we will take the measurements from a point. Now in the compass, the measurements can be taken in the clockwise direction or the anti-clockwise direction. So in this study, we have done clockwise direction basically. So what we have done, you can see here different points. You can see A, right? A, B is there, C, D, E. Now these are 5 stations: A, B, C, D, and E. So we have gone in this direction. Basically, we have gone like this. That is clockwise direction. We have gone. So now, whenever you take a line, right? Let's say, I'll give a typical example. Now, let's say this is a point A, right? So this is a line AB. Now, if you keep a compass here, right? This is a magnetic north, and when you focus on a ranging rod here, right? That object vane, you will align in this direction. Then you will measure the angle. Now this angle is called as forebearing. We call FB means forebearing we call. Now again, what you will do, if you keep the compass at B, right? And then view towards A, you will see one more angle which is called as back bearing. So for a given line, now if you keep compass here and see towards B, it is forebearing. Now if you keep compass on B and see towards A, that is back bearing. On the other hand, let's say if you see towards some other point C, that will be the forebearing. So now always the difference between back bearing and forebearing will be plus or minus 180, right? So given that there is no local attractions, now that since a compass is a magnetic compass, right? So if the nearby region, if there is an electric pole, electric current, or some metal structure, then there will be local attraction, what we call as normally local attraction we call it. So this local attraction may lead to this difference, right? Not to be 180, it can be 181 or 170 or whatever, depending on how much strong local attraction is there. If local attraction is there, then the sum will not be equal to, the difference will not be equal to 180. In that case, we have to apply some corrections, right? So that is called as correction for local attraction, which you will study in theory also. Then other thing is that now this is basically a, we can say 5 sides, there are polygon we can say. So now when we see each included angle, right, interior angle, this is one interior angle, angle A, this is angle B, this is angle C, this is angle D, and this is angle E. Now if you sum up, it will be equal to 2n minus 4 into 90 degrees. This, right, thumb rule. So this 2n minus 4 90 degrees will be the sum, right, as per geometry. Now sometimes what happens, this may not be satisfied. So then we encounter error called as angle misclosure. We encounter error called as angle misclosure. Now this also has to be corrected. So normally in the compass, when you do compass survey, you encounter 2 kind of problems. One is local attraction, right, where the difference between forebearing and back bearing will not be equal to 180 degrees, right, and other is angle misclosure, right. So these 2 errors should be corrected, right, after you measure all the forebearing and back bearing at each station. So to start with, what we will do basically, we will place the compass at this A station. Then we will see, we will allow it to freely suspend, right. In our case, this was the north direction, right? We placed here, and this here, this is the north. North was facing here. So now we placed the compass here. Then we had kept a ranging rod at B. At B, we had placed a ranging rod. We just tilted the compass and the object vane such that we are able to align the vane. If you see, there is a small wire was there, right? A particular wire, what we call horse wire we call, that was aligned with the ranging rod at B. Then from the view vane or I vane, we found what is the reading of the angle. That we will record it as forebearing of line AB, because we are placing compass at A and looking towards B. So in this direction we are looking. So that is called as forebearing at A, right, towards B. So then what we did again, we had one more station near A, it is E. Now we from this from this particular point, we tilted the object way full like this. Then we saw towards E, right? So then we recorded one more reading, which is called as back bearing. That is called as back bearing at A, right? So what we'll do basically, we will record this reading in such a format. So let me show the how we'll record the reading. Let me insert one more slide here. So basically, let's say in this thing we had A, B, B, C, C, D, D, E, E, A, right? So this will be A, B, B, C, C, D, D, E, and E, A lines were there in our experiment. So for each line, we will cover, one is forebearing, right? Other is back bearing, we will cover, right? So we will cover those lines, we will measure this angle basically. So basically now what we will do, if you remember, I think in the video, did you see the readings? In the video, I think I had also posted the, what to say, this one, field book data. So basically what we got from AB, the forebearing what we got was 81 degrees. Sorry, we got forebearing as 81 degrees we got, right? And second thing, in the compass what we used, the least count was 30 minutes, right? So 30 minutes was least count. So basically we were able to neither measure, we were not able to measure less than 30 minutes. Some compass may be having 0, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes and 1 degree. But in our case, we had the least count was 30 minutes. So we are not able to measure beyond 30 minutes, right? So, I mean less than 30 minutes. 81 degree we got. Then this is basically 81 degree. This line we got 81 degree. This AB, forebearing. Now, when we kept this particular line here, right, and then we measured this particular angle, we got that this is 185. We check this. Okay. Back bearing we got 185 degrees. So then what we did? Then we split from compass from A to B. Then we placed at this particular point the compass, right? Then what we did, we looked at towards A. So that angle what we got was basically it was 280 to 84 degrees. 284 degrees. That means we kept the compass here in the B, right? In direction of, we allowed it to fully suspend. This is not direction. Now when we rotate completely like this, so we got 284 degrees. Okay. So then when we looked at towards C, it's the forebearing of forebearing. So we got in the forebearing section, we got as 170.5 degrees. 170.5 means 170 degrees 30 minutes. So I just converted in decimals for easy thing. 170.5 degrees, right? Then what we did, we shifted the compass to the C, right? Then we shifted to this particular station C. We shifted. Then we measured what is the back bearing from C towards B, right? So that value what we got was basically that was 349 degrees. We got 349 degrees, and then from C we looked towards D. There's a forebearing. Forebearing we got was 221 degrees. 221 degrees, right? And again of that experiment, then we went to the point D. So in D, again we measured towards CD, towards DC, and again D. That is back bearing and forebearing we measured. Now the back bearing what we got was there 40 degrees. Then here the forebearing what we got was it was 288.5. That means 288 degree 30 minutes was the angle. Similarly, then we went for again E. From E, we recorded values like 98 degrees, and then it was 354 degrees forebearing. So this angle we recorded. So record this angle, right? This completes the actual data collection part. So now we will start with the analysis part. What to look for now? So now we have collected data, right? So next point, first thing what we look for is we'll see the difference between the forebearing and back bearing. We'll see the difference between these two. Now, if difference here, if there is no local attraction, right, then this should be 180, right, as I told you. But if there is some local attraction, then the difference will not be 180. In this, you can see the difference. What we got is basically 203 degrees. Here we got 203 degrees, right, and in this we got 178.5 degrees, and in this we got 181 degrees, right, and in this we got 190.5 degrees, and in this we got 169 degrees. So if you see here, none of the angles, right, now difference is 180, right? So that means what? Now every station is affected by local attraction. So if you see the field observation when you're doing this compass survey, so in and around there are some metal objects, right? You know the spot we just did in front of SIF. So there was some ongoing scaffolding was there, building scaffolding. There are some reinforcement rods in and around the field because there is some building is going on. So this way, all the stations are affected by this particular local attraction. So now what we'll do basically, now to correct for local attraction, right? So we'll see which is least affected. Sometimes what happens, sometimes some particular station may be free from local attraction. Let's say if this comes 180, then what you will do, you will carry the bearings forward. So we'll see how this is done. So but in this case, none of them are 180. So basically what we'll do, first we'll identify which is the nearest one and to 180. Obviously, this is the nearest one to 180, right? This is 180, 1 degree difference, and this is having 1.5 degree difference. So this we will choose, right? So it is having a difference of how much? 180 is 1 degree difference is there, right? So what we'll do, we'll basically, so we have 1 degree difference is there. Let me open one more slide. We just note down once again that part. So this is AB we had, this is BC, this is CD, this is DE, and this is EA. So that was the forebearing we had, right? And this was the back bearing we had. So now what we will do basically, now we will see it is affected by, right, 180, so 1 degree is balanced, 1 degree is more. So what we will do, we will distribute at 1 degree among this, right? Basically, we will just distribute them equally in this station because this C and D are less affected. So what we will do basically, now we will make this, basically this reading will be 220.5 and 40.5. Basically what we did, for this we subtracted, right, and for this we added. So normally there's a thumb rules what we follow, like we will decrease the higher value by equal difference, and we'll increase the lower value by equal difference, that is 1 degree. Then what we'll do, we got this, right, we got this 220.5. So now accordingly we'll just write this again other angles, that is 81, right, 284, then we have 170.5, then 349, and then we have 288.5, then 98, then we have 354, then we have 185. So now in this particular station, so we have difference of 180 degrees. So assuming that this to be free from local attraction, so now what we will do first, once we do this, we will basically find the interior angles, right? So we'll find the interior angles first, because now let's say with this particular data set or this bearing data set, so now our first we will see whether is there a requirement for angle misclosure error. So what we will do, we will just find the first interior angles. Now if you want to find the angle A, right, let me go back to this figure. If you want to find this particular angle, right, if this you want to find, so what you will do basically, bearing of this line, right, this line minus bearing of this line, that is what basically bearing of AE minus bearing of BC. That means what we will do, bearing of AE minus bearing of AB. So what is the bearing of AE? It was basically 185 degrees minus bearing of AB was 81 degree. This will be equal to this 5 for 104 degrees. We got this as the interior angle of A. So then what we will do, right? We will go for included angle B. That will be equal to what now? Obviously it will be equal to bearing of BA, right? Bearing of this line, this whole particular from here will go this line minus this line, you get this angle. So what we will do again, you will just go here, then it will be B of BA minus B of BC, yeah. So BC it will be, this will be equal to 284 minus 170.5, which is equivalent to 113.5 degrees. Then again you will see the angle for C, that will be equal to what now? This is angle C. Now from here north, you just move like this. That is bearing of CB minus bearing of CD. You get this particular angle. So this will be equal to B of bearing of CB minus bearing of CD. That is equal to how much? Bearing of CB was 349 minus CD was 220.5. So we get the angle, interior angle 128.5 degrees we got. So again, let me open the new slide. So now we have for D, interior angle D. So D will be equal to what again? This is the, if you see here, bearing of, here it is quite different. So why different? If you see here, the bearing of DC, this bearing minus this bearing, here you need to add 360 basically. So what happens here? This will be equal to bearing of DC minus bearing of DE plus 360 degrees, because basically you are going one full round right here. If you want to see from here, we'll go one full round. So we'll add the 360 degrees here. So this will be equal to bearing of DC, what we got was 40.5, the corrected reading, minus then DE was 288.5 plus 360 degrees. This will be equivalent to 1112 degrees. Then finally we have the final interior angle, that is E, which will be equal to bearing of, if you see here, bearing of ED, right? Bearing of ED minus bearing of EA. This will be equal to bearing of ED, we got 98 minus 354 plus 360. Whenever you get negative readings, so add 360 because it's going one full round there. Okay, so you'll get 104 degrees we got. So now when we sum, okay, when we sum 104, let's say, so sum will be equal to, if you see sum, so we got here 104, 104 plus 113.5 plus 128.5 plus 112 plus 104. So this sum will be equal to 562 degrees. So what I got, it will 562 degrees. But now since this particular figure, right, it has 5 sides, so it will be as per the geometrical theorem. So 2n minus 4 into 90 should be the sum of interior angles. That will be equal to 2 into there are 5 sides minus 4 into 90. This will be 10 minus 4, 6 into 90 is equal to 540 degrees. So, but we are getting how much? 562. So, there is difference of 22 degrees, we have a difference, right? So, there is a angle misclosure of 22 degrees. So, now what we will do basically, so now we need to distribute this angle, right, among the stations which has error. We know in this particular thing, here we assume that this CD is giving 180, right? We just made some small correction. So that means what? So whatever corrections, whatever measurements you have made in C, in this station and this station are free from local attraction. Also, the interior angles C and D are correct. So that we will assume, right? That is the assumption what we'll make. So now what we'll do basically, so the interior angles whatever we have got, right? So this is the interior angles we got for A. Now this will be basically equal to 562 minus 540. This will be equal to 22. Now the two interior angles C and D are correct. So only 3 should be corrected. So divided by 3, this will be 7.33 degrees. So actually I am going everything decimals, but sometimes when the compass is, let's say, analog compass, then everything will be in degrees and minutes. So I'm just giving this thing so for easy understanding here. So mostly when you do theory class or when you do normal problems, so there it will be in degrees, right? So now it is 1.33 degrees. So now what we'll do, we're going to subtract this one, right, from each angle. So from A, for A it was 104 minus 7.33. For B, it was 113.5 minus 7.33. For C, it remains as it is because we assume that particular station is correct, free from local attraction. Even for D, we assume it is correct, 112. For E, this will be 104 minus 7.33. So finally, we get the values such as interior angles, which is corrected for angle misclosure. This will be 96.67. Then this will be 106.16. Then this will be 128.5. Then 112. Then 96.67. Now these are the corrected interior angles in each case. Now since you have corrected the interior angles, so automatically the bearings should also be changed. The bearings what you measured here, right? In the first slide, the bearings what are shown here, the bearing BA, bearing BC, and bearing CD won't change, and bearing C won't change. So all this correction, the bearings what you measured at A, B, and E are to be corrected. So now again we'll see this. Particular table, the first table what I have shown. Let me see if we can copy here. See. Editable? Yeah, okay. So what we do basically, now since, okay, wrong, I think I wrong copy, wrong one. Okay. 220. Yeah, so let me erase this bearing part. Okay. So now, since the measurements, whatever you make in C and D are correct, so this will be correct, right? This will be correct. And since this particular back bearing was taken from C, this will be correct. And this also will be correct. So whatever measured in C and D are always correct because it is free from local attraction. So now what you will do, you will find, you start carrying this particular this particular correction to the next step. Let's say now, I'll give you a small example here. Let's say if you want to measure the bearing at DE, if you measure bearing at DE, right? So what it will be? Obviously, this will be 40.5, right? 40.5 minus the interior angle at D. Interior angle D was 112. 40.5 minus interior angle at D, right? Plus 360 degrees. So this will be 288.5. It's a small check as been made here. So this way, this will be anyways correct. This value only you will get. So now what you will do, you will find back bearing at D. So back bearing at D what? Now this is 288.5. This is correct now. Now what this should be basically, if you see this value, now back bearing at D should be equal to 288.5 minus 180 degrees. So this will be actually 108.5 degrees. So basically what you've done, you know this is correct. Now if this difference should be 180 degrees, what should this should be? This should be 108.5 degrees. Now if this was 108.5 degrees, then what should this be next? So like that we keep carrying. Now bearing of EA will be equal to basically 108.5 degrees. So if this was initially 98, but now it is 108.5. If it is 108.5, then what's the bearing of EE? Then bearing of EA, basically the front bearing will be this like this, which if I show the figure. If you want to find this particular bearing, this bearing you are measuring, you are correcting now. So you know this line, this D is basically we got 108.5. You know this interior angle. So the difference will give you this particular angle, right? So that we're trying to do here. So this bearing of EA will be 108.5 minus the interior angle of E, which we got is 96.67. That is, we got 96.67 we got. This will be equal to 11.83 degrees. Okay, so now this we let me underline which we corrected. This we checked, right? This also we checked. Then this 11.3. So now what we'll do? Since we have covered bearing of E, then back bearing at E, right? Back bearing at EA will be equal to 11.83 minus this will be 180. I mean plus 180. If this is more than 180, you subtract, less than 180, you add, right? Difference should be 180 degrees in base. This will be 191.83 degrees we got. So now this is basically 191.83 we got here. So this was 11.83 corrected. This became 191.83. Now if this is 191.83, then what will be this bearing of AB? So all are connected here. So then what we'll do? Just delete this. So now we want to know the bearing of AB. Bearing of AB will be equal to, right, this BB at EA minus interior angle EA. This will be equal to 191.83 minus interior angle of A was 96.67, which will be equal to 95.16. This is a bearing of AB. Instead of this particular angle, right, we got 95.16 as the bearing. Then what you will do? Bearing of BC. Now bearing of BC what? Now bearing of BC should be 349. Okay. Then so now what you will do? Just 1 minute. Yeah. This back bearing at AB will be 9 plus 180. This is equal to 275.16. Right, this is the BB at AB, back bearing at AB. So then now bearing of BC. Bearing of BC also requires correction because it is B, not in C. C and D doesn't require any corrections. This will be 275.16 minus interior angle of B. That is 275.16 minus interior angle of B is basically we got 106. It was 106.16, which is equal to 169. So now if we give a cross check, now back bearing at BC will be equal to 169 plus 180 is nothing but 943, 349 we got. So if you see this R340 already it's there, right? So what we did basically in this exercise, we just carried the bearings, right? So first we know this is correct, and since this and this were measured from the correct stations, so these two should be correct. So now if this was correct and this is wrong, simply we will subtract 180 and find the correct reading here. Then that is being carried further. So to find the correct bearings, we are carrying it. This is 188.5. So back bearing minus included angle gives you the front bearing. So that's what we did here basically. Here what we did, we just subtracted back bearing, right? We did same exercise here. Here we tried to find interior angle, right? Bearing of A minus A. Now what we basically will do, now we are doing subtracting back bearing of A minus included angle to find the front bearing of AB. Same formula we applied here, right? So finally we got this particular one. So now we tabulate. If we tabulate the final results basically, so this is the AB, this is BC, CD, DE and EA. This is front bearing. Bearing means basically angle. Okay, so this survey word terminology we call bearing. So this it was 220.5. 40.5, this was 349, this was 288.5. So then 288 this became 108.5, and this was 11.83, and this was 191.83, and bearing of AB was 95.16, and then this was 275.16, and this was 169. Now if you see the difference right? The difference in all cases is 180, right? Now let's say if we see a difference between 275, that is 275.16 minus 95.16, so it's like 180 again. In all cases it is giving 180. That means after correcting all the data, so this is the final thing with which you can develop a plot. I mean, whatever drawing you want to make. So with this angle and knowing the basically the knowing the dimensions in the field book, what I think I sent you in the video, in that we are given what is length of AB also, length of AB, length of BC and all. So with this you can develop a drawing or a plan such that you are including the angles also. So this way the compass survey is normally made, right? And the corrections are applied in this manner. Sometimes what happens, sometimes there not be any corrections, you got very perfect reading, no attractions, no there is no local attraction, and there is no angle error of misclosure. Sometimes what happens, there may not be angle of error misclosure, but there will be error of local attraction. Say if you get local attraction, you will do same exercise, you will just carry over the bearings, right? Sometimes what happens, you may be having no local attraction, but there can be a local, there can be an angle misclosure. So each set of thing has small simple thumb rules. So on this depends on if you observe the figure. So once you observe the whatever drawing data you have gone, if you make a rough plot, now the rough plot will tell you everything. If you want to measure included angle, how to measure. If you want to measure a bearing, knowing the included angle, how to measure. So this way, first whatever you do survey, make a rough plot, and then you just see which is north direction and see how the angles are measured. So this will give a brief idea and simple relations to find the front bearing, back bearing, or the included angle. So this is what the data, final data we got. This is from the field observation, and finally this corrected for angle disclosure and then local attraction, and this was the final data what we got. So you can just compare. Let me copy the thing, this particular raw data. Yeah, so these are the corrections finally what we made, and these are the final readings, right? And these are the readings actually what we got. So this way, whenever you do compass survey, so you need to apply these corrections. And second thing, the bearings what we discussed here, I mean the angle type of angle, what we discussed in this class or in this survey thing. We just open one more slide. So this class basically we discussed something called as whole circle bearing. Whole circle bearing. There is one more type of bearing called as quadrantal bearing. You will read in theory. Quadrantal bearing, where you use basically the quadrants. Let's say if this is north, east, west, south. So basically, let's say if this is 30 degrees, okay. I mean this is let's say 60 from north, 60. This will be N60E, right? Similarly, if this is, so this is 45, right? So you won't talk about north here. Let's see. This will be S45E. So this is called quadrantal system. Now mostly the preferred method is always whole circle bearing method because it is easy to calculate. Sometimes what happens, there will be some data where the data will be measured in terms of quadrantal bearings. Later you may have to convert into whole circle bearing. Then you will bring, if you convert into whole circle this particular thing, this will be what? There is 90 plus 45. So 90 plus 45 will be the whole circle bearing as per 135 degrees. So this way you will convert, we study in theory also, that actually the main part, So this is the two types of things what we'll discuss. One is whole circle and quadrantal. But whole circle bearing is simple and that is what mostly preferred while doing survey. When you do all these calculations, you'll always, if you measured in the quadrantal bearing system, you'll convert that into whole circle bearing and then do all the corrections whatever is required. Okay. So this is the thing. So now what I will expect from this is I have shown the calculations and also you recorded the video. You also just make this note this data, raw data, right? I think in the video also this one image is shown. So you try to work without seeing this video. You are, now if you understand what I have told, try to work out from yourself. Okay. And then what you will do once you do the calculations, prepare a report, right? Prepare a report. So similar like what is submitted for the this one ranging thing. So with procedures, the video in the video I have shown the procedures. I mean how it was done. So explain all the procedures. So and then right, and then you show the calculations. What calculations actually were made, right? So and then you just draw a drawing, right? Draw a drawing is in a A4 sheet, right? And the length of the lines A, B, B, C, C, D, D, E and DA are already shown in the I think video. If not shown, I will send you the scanned copy of the field book, so you will easily get that particular data. So draw an A4 or A3 sheet for a particular scale using protractor. So in protractor you can measure all these angles, right? If there is some decimals are there, you can try to omit if possible. Let's say if 95.1 can be measured, it is well and good. Obviously 95.6, 1.16 cannot be measured. You can just mark 95.1 and just draw a line in that direction. So you can do this particular exercise in a A3 sheet, draw a neat pencil. So and then you can just mark all the points. A, what is A, B, B, C, right? And then you can mark all these angles. Mark all these angles and then also mark the interior angles, what you got. So these interior angles, what we got in this particular, this one. So this one, yeah. So mark all these interior angles and you can also verify whether am I getting this particular angle. So it will not be exactly matching. There may be some plus or minus, but obviously it should be, let's say, it should be somewhere near this particular value. So to cross check that in the drawing what you have made, right? So this way you will appreciate this exercise and this will help you right, in your theory class also. Also you will understand okay, how it is done in the actual field and how it is linked to the theory part, right? So this we will stop here. If any doubts we can discuss. And second thing, for this the survey email ID, that email ID had some issues, right? So we couldn't open. So I have sent you the new email ID, right? That is I think surveylab@gmail.com.